How to start the J1 waiver process in 2025. As a J1 teacher with 212E rule, in this video, we are going to talk about that. So let's dive in and let the journey begin. Hello everyone, good day. My name is Emmary. Welcome to Powerful Couple Journey, where we talk about immigration process, life here in the USA, and overall random experiences. For today's video, we are going to talk about the J1 waiver process that I took as a former J1 teacher with 212E rule. What are the applications and requirements that you have to submit in order for you to do it yourself, or you have at least ideas on how to do it as a J1 teacher now, especially if you are married to your US citizen spouse. Disclaimer, I am not an immigration lawyer. This is just based on my own experience, and I am really hoping that you will be with me throughout the end of the video. That way you'll understand the complexity of the do-it-yourself process and how to navigate yourself with the immigration. For the 2025, we know that the administration has been strict when it comes to the US immigration. With that, they have been working on the changes, especially with the J1 waiver. But this is a good thing. Before, in the year 2021, when I submitted my J1 waiver, I have to file the Form I-612 and pay for the fees. Thank goodness this year, you are no longer required to pay. The $1,100 US dollars is already waived, which means it's free. Why is Form I-612 important? It is the application for foreign waiver. It is your way to have the waiver through the USCIS. Also, you have to submit your DS 3035, and this will be done through the Department of State. These two forms work hand in hand, and you either have to submit first your DS 3035, and then after a few days, you will have to submit your Form I-612. Granting you are married to your US citizen spouse, just like what I have, because for now, that is really one of the best waiver route that you can have, especially if you are a Filipino that is now with a J1 visa with 212E rule. You also have to submit your Form I-130. It has nothing to do with the waiver, but it is a petition for you that you will be needing once you are ready for your adjustment of status, which is Form I-485. Now, what are the requirements in order for you to submit the Form I-612? First, you have to log in to uscis.gov to see the overall paperwork. I have videos on how to fill out the Form I-612 and DS-335. Just go to my playlist on the J1 to green card process. That way you have an idea. Or you can also go to the Department of State for the DS-3035. Everything is there. Now, let's go first with the Form I-612 waiver application. You need to make sure you have your marriage certificate. Granting you're married to your US citizen spouse, and I can vouch on that one because I am so happy that I got married to my American husband. His name is William, and he is there to help me, support me during the process, because it took us 2 years for the overall process from being a J1 teacher to getting my waiver, and then was able to get my petition and get my green card. So you need to have each other to do the process. Before we dive deep to the requirements, why are we compelled to do it ourselves? Because in the year 2021, when we did our process, we consulted a lawyer and we paid that lawyer hourly. We asked him, based on our paperwork, if we can do our waiver through his service. He said it's not going to work, because our papers or our evidences are not strong enough. But what I did was, I jot down notes, all the information that he said, all the types of waiver that is in the Department of State. Then my situation falls on the exceptional hardship to my US citizen spouse. With that, I was compelled to do it myself, and I said to myself, if I have God, if I have my husband, and if I have the courage to do this, I know I can do this through DIY. That's the reason why we did it ourselves, and we are so thankful that we are now helping the J1 Waiver Helping Hands group. For there are a lot of J1 teachers already that are there to support each other, help each other, and give their successful J1 waiver journey. Even though they have a lawyer, they're also giving insights. And with my DIY process, a lot of them got inspired, and now they also have their DIY process, and some of them already have a case on hold, which is a very good impression to you, since it means to say that the USCIS found a hardship on your case, and that will be what you're praying for the DS-35 to get approved, to get a favorable recommendation, and then with the Form I-612 to get an approval notice through Form I-797. Now, what are the requirements that I have brought to the table in order for us to get our Form I-612 approved? I make sure that we have plenty of copies for a marriage certificate. Why? You have to submit your marriage certificate either through original copy or notarized copy. You will have to submit to the USCIS, you will have to submit to the Department of State, and you need to have a copy for yourself. That way, everything you submitted to the USCIS and the Department of State, you have a copy and you can show to them once they need to have that certain interview. Next, you have to have your extreme evidences like psychological evaluation. That is very important. That way, there's a third party person that is a professional that can vouch your extreme hardship, which is pertaining to psychological or emotional hardship. You need to be upfront to your forensic psychologist or psychotherapist, which we have had, and tell them about how this J1 212E rule have been impacted your husband's or your wife, which is a US citizen, when it comes to their mental state and overall living, since there is a possibility that you will be brought back to your home country, just like the Philippines, because of this certain rule. You need to have a psychological evaluation. It has no question. A lot of the lawyers already that we know of, based on our J1 Waiver Helping Hands group, because they're sharing ideas as well, they are saying that psychological evaluation is very important, and that is one of the main reasons why their waiver has been approved. What are other things you can also provide? When it comes to the application, you also have to have your joint bank account. Ours, we had it prior to getting married. When we have been engaged together, we had our joint bank account through a credit union. And good thing my husband is already part of that credit union, so it's easy for him to open another bank account which is jointly. And it is very important to at least start with $50 or $100. That way, when you wanted to start to settle together, like get your own apartment or get your rented house together, you can get the money out from that joint bank account. If it's too much for you, then have the utilities at least, or your phone bills, or some insurances like car insurance from that joint bank account. That way, it's showing that there's a financial hardship once the J1 with 212E rule is forced to go back to their home country to fulfill the 2-year home requirement. So those are the things that I have put. What other things? During the time when we submitted, we are blessed because that is still part of the COVID-19 pandemic in the year 2021. It works in our favor because it had showed a lot of restrictions when it comes to getting to and from the Philippines and other COVID vaccines and checkpoints, all those things that has been done in the Philippines. So it helped in our favor. But what we also included are the information from the internet, just like crime, poverty, corruption, that would impact the US citizen if he will have to live with me to the Philippines. So there are two ways for you to prove your J1 waiver application. First, you have to show that your US citizen spouse will have an exceptional hardship if he will have to stay here in his home country, which is the United States of America, while you have to fulfill the 2-year home residency requirement to your home country. Or the US citizen spouse of yours will accompany you to your home country and both of you will be staying there for 2 years. What are the struggles? What are the scenarios? Like, do you think you will have employment from the Department of Education or from any places that you can think of? Do you think your spouse can also get work from there? That way, you could sustain your lives and livelihood together. So, those are the factors that you have to put in consideration. Think of your waiver application, especially with your statement of reasons. It's like a brief summary of the overall impact or the totality of circumstances once the 2-year home residency requirement is imposed to the J1 visa holder. Those are the things that you have to really think about. It's your love story. Put everything there. Make sure you also have all the words or jargons that you need to use. If you wanted to see our statement of reasons, always remember we have our website, powerfulcouplejourney.com, that we have to support our mountain pastors, and there are a lot of statement of reasons and the J1 waiver bundle that we have to help you at least get the templates and ideas to start with your process. We also have the checklist. It's very important to have that because you will know what are the paperworks to get or to prepare before starting the J1 waiver, because there's no turning back once you start the process. A lot of our J1 teacher friends from the Philippines are even asking if they can go back to their home country if they started the process. But we highly recommend, and this is based on our own experience, to not go back to the home country yet, just like the Philippines, not unless you got approval, or not unless you have your green card or legal permanent residence card, because it's a lot more complicated than you think. We were able to go back to the Philippines, me and my husband, and it's his first time. And I'm so thankful that I have my 10-year green card already and my 10-year passport. And it's so easy. There's not a lot of fuzz in the US immigration, even in the Philippine immigration. So those are the things that you have to consider. When it comes to your DS-3035, whatever you put in your Form I-612 is the same with your DS-3035. Only the process is different. Why? When it comes to your DS-3035, you have to first submit through online filing. You can click the apply online and there is a form that you can go through. They're going to give you a barcode on this one, and make sure you have the case number because that's going to be your case number that you can use to check once you already submitted your files. You only have to pay $120 when it comes to your DS-35, and then all the evidences that you have, place it there together. Again, it's important to have psychological evaluation. It's important to have commingling joint bank account. Also, put your monthly budget. It's very important because you can show there through your joint bank account that you are pulling your expenses there, and your monthly budget is really there to help the US citizen to have the kind of living you have together because of your contribution. Always put that one in mind. You always have to contribute to your US citizen spouse. That way they can show that there's really a financial hardship. Don't just choose one or you'll say, oh, you know what, I will just pick financial hardship. No, think of this and always put this one in mind. The totality of circumstances, which are psychological evaluation, financial hardship, educational hardship, employment hardship, crime, poverty in the home country, the lifestyle that you have, and all other sorts of stuff, even medical hardship. Even though your husband or your wife, which is a US citizen, has no medical condition, but they experience anxiety and depression because of the possibility that you'll have to go back to your home country, consult a doctor and ask for a specific medication, and then put that one into paper that my US citizen spouse has this kind of medication now or sickness now because of how stressful it is when it comes to the immigration process. Those are the things that you can file because you need to have a third person to see your paperwork. You need to have this person, which is a licensed one, that could convince the USCIS officer who is reading your paperwork that you really have that extreme hardship, that you don't want your US citizen spouse to encounter this kind of problem or extreme hardship. Always pray that your US immigration officer or your waiver review division officer has a heart to read your documents. And this is very important as well, to put tabs in each of your documents. That way, when you have your statement of reason and they point out or highlight that you have an extreme hardship, they can see the inserted copy of your evidences, and they could really vouch that based on those evidences that you submitted, they can grant a favorable recommendation to your DS-35 and approval to your Form I-612. Not a lot of you are asking, what's the processing time when it comes to the Form I-612 and DS-35? When it comes to the Form I-612, you always have to go to the USCIS.gov, type in Google, and ask the processing time. However, based on my own experience and the experiences of other J1 teachers that had the process, first, they submitted their DS-35, and after a month or two, they submitted their Form I-612, or either way, the DS-35 has to go 6 months to a year. Once they have the Form I-612 and the Form I-613, which comes from the USCIS, then they can start rolling the process for your favorable recommendation. When it comes to your Form I-612, it will take probably 4 months to a year when they can recommend another department, which is a Department of State, to give their advisory if they can give you an approval on your notice. That is through their Form I-612 and Form I-613. Once you have your case on hold with your Form I-612, it is a positive note that you will get your favorable recommendation with the Department of State and approval notice. All you have to do is to wait. It has to be a waiting process within 8 weeks to 12 weeks. But that is already a year plus 8 weeks to 12 weeks. So if that is over or beyond the processing time that you can see through their website, you can reach out to a state senator or state congressman. Ask them if they can help you open up the case to expedite the process. That's what we did with my DS-35, knowing that it's been holding for 15 months already with the Department of State. Once they had helped us with the process, it has a paperwork. You can call your state senator or congressman, or you can email them. You can search state congressman or senator in your zip code and ask for USCIS help, something like that, that you can type in the internet. A lot of information are already in the internet, so we are so thankful that we have this kind of technology right now that can help us ease our questions and problems. So if I were you, make sure you think of the 2 years process. You will always have the agony of waiting. Yes, I know it's very tough, but think of this: always believe in yourself, especially if you do it yourself. Again, do it yourself is very hard, not unless you know the techniques, you know the process and how to do it, and at the same time, you pray fervently with your situation. Me and my husband, we are single prior to getting married. No kids yet, no strings attached, no separation papers, no divorce. So those are the things that you also have to consider. Because if you are divorced in the Philippines, that is not recognized by the Philippine Constitution. So this might be recognized here in the US, but then there's a lot of complexity when it comes to your papers. That's why you have to ask your immigration lawyer for that one. And if you are compelled to process your papers, like for example, if you are very close to getting your waiver and you wanted to have that work permit through your Form I-485, you can start submitting that one after, let's just say, 9 months to a year, when you really see that you have a case on hold. That way, you can start rolling the process, because it might took them 2 to 3 months before they can give you that work permit, especially if you're still wanting to teach here, but you already separated from your visa sponsor. My visa sponsor before is CICD, which is in tracks right now. They don't know that I submitted my Form I-612, my DS-335, even my advisor opinion. The reason for that is I never told anyone. I never even posted in social media. Not until we got married. Here's the thing, we don't know that in your circle, they already told your visa sponsor that you got married to a US citizen. So you have to be discreet with everything and pray for this process. It's a very long process, and for me, I would really tell you based on experience, do not go home, not unless you have your legal permanent residence card, because that is very important when it comes to traveling. Some of you might even get the travel document, which is through the form I-131. I got that through a combo card with the form I-765 and form I-131, but I never used that to go back to my home country because I know that it's very complicated once you start the J1 waiver process. So if I were you, please stay put and pray for the process when it comes to the J1 waiver. In the year 2025, it is not that complicated. It's the same in the year 2021 till now. The only thing is, do you have courage to do it? Can you do it by yourself? Do you know how to do DIY? Or do you need to reach to someone that has already had the experience? I am here to help, and our website is there as well to share to you the templates. At least you have an idea on how to do it. POWELLFULCoupleJourney.com, and this is our way to give you ideas on how to do it yourself. Also, please join J1 Waiver Helping Hands group, where we share to you different kinds of ideas when it comes to J1 waiver. Just agree to group rules, and I, as your admin, will accept you immediately. If you arrive in this part of the video, please consider to like, share, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and click that notification bell. That way you will be notified for our next upcoming videos that we will be consistently uploading in our YouTube channel, Powerful Couple Journey. We are here to educate, inspire, and motivate you when it comes to immigration process with a J1 waiver to green card and the overall life experiences here in the US. May God bless you and see you on my next video. Have a great day!